So yeah, and then I bought this to do crochet rugs with t-shirt yarn. um I did one, but I gave it away, and I didn't take pictures of it or anything, but hopefully later on I can get my hands on some old t-shirts and I'll do a tutorial on that. They're very easy, they're very practical, and you could also do, you know, the little baskets that I told you that I was doing. You can also do those with t-shirt yarns. I mean, with t-shirts that you don't like anymore, or pieces of clothing that are, you know, this kinds of fabric, very stretchy, very like what is it called, t-shirt or jersey fabric. You can use it to crochet and make these little baskets or little items like that, and they come out really nice. And I've seen people do actually bags, like either grocery bags or actually clutches and bags that you actually wear, and they look very, very nice. They look kind of like couture. It looks like it was worth a lot of money. You know how those boutiques have like those specialty items? It looks like that. Like these little baskets, if I were to purchase them at this boutique that I've seen, you know, that they have like handmade items or things like that, they're very pricey. They can cost you a pretty penny, and it's free. I mean, yeah, it's gonna take you time, but you know, like, I mean, you can make it for free once you're at your house and you don't have, you know, you finish with all your stuff. And I did little handles on them, but I think on the other ones I didn't do it because I didn't see a purpose of it. I wasn't able to, you know, I didn't want it to occupy a lot of the basket, so I did very small slits. But yeah, but these you can also do with that t-shirt yarn, and they will come out really pretty. So yeah. So usually I keep all of this together, and I'm going to try to buy a different hook just because I don't like plastic hooks, and I found that out. They were very inexpensive, and they, you know, they work well, but for some reason I feel like it was going to break on me, because when I was working on that rug, this kind of like bended a lot, and it hurt my wrist. It was very short, so I think I would like it for it to be maybe 1 inch, an inch to half an inch longer, and I think it would have been a little bit better. I know they have a different sizes, and the other sizes are a little bit longer, but this particular size that I like, because it doesn't make it so big, it was very hard to work with. I really, you know, I bought it, so I'll probably use it until I find something a little bit better that it's not too pricey. But yeah, I wish I would have gotten something a little bit better. But you know, you live and you learn, and like I said, I did not want to purchase like a very expensive set of crochet hooks because I did not know if I was gonna like it, if I was gonna stick to it. So that's my main advice for you guys, that when you're starting a new craft, or you're, you know, or you're starting anything like that, you know, even like cake decorating or baking or quilting or sewing or anything, you know, like try to see if it's gonna work out for you, because you know, sometimes you buy all these items and you spend all this money, and it could get really pricey to craft. You know, like you spend all this money and you don't use half of the stuff, and you just have it laying in your closet, and you end up selling it at a yard sale or whatever for very cheap, and all your investment is gone. So I think that you should start small and work your way up. Like for example, I think I'm due for a better quality set of hooks, so I'm saving up for that. I'm actually I think this year I'm gonna either ask one of my relatives to give them to me for Christmas, or I'm gonna try to see if I can get a good deal from Michael's or Joann's, or you know, online. But I usually like to buy those certain items in those big stores because I can return them if I don't like them. And online, it takes a long time to return things. Like you have to ship it back, and you have to give them a reason, and sometimes they give you this big old story that why can't they return your money, and it's just a hassle. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll buy a brand and I'll try it, and I know it sounds really bad, but I'll try it, and if I don't like it, I'll return it, because I am not gonna keep something that I don't like. So I try to really research before I do that. But if for some reason, for whatever reason, I hear all these great, comments on them and everything, and once I go and buy it and I spend 20 bucks on a hook or something like that, and I start, doing it and I don't like it, I want the option of returning it. Either to get something else or to get my money back and spend it somewhere else, or in the same store with a different brand, because like I said, you have to feel comfortable with the tools that you're using. I think that's another reason, like I said, that I had so many problems with learning how to do crochet, because everybody was telling me you have to do it this way, or you have to hold it this way, or you have to purchase this, or blah blah blah. So find your own way. Look at it in different ways. Don't get stuck in just the way somebody's doing something. Try to see what's best for you and what works for you, what you feel comfortable with. And there is no right way to hold a crochet hook. Like, find a place that is comfortable in your hands. And how I did that was that I grabbed my crochet hook. Okay, I grabbed my crochet hook and I hold it like a pencil. And okay, I hold it like a pencil, and then I try to see how, the person that taught me how to crochet was, again, Yolanda from the All Crafts channel. So I will look at her, how she was holding the crochet hook. So I first started to holding it like a pencil, because that's the thing that felt natural to my hand. So I started trying to do it like that, and it really didn't work well, but I was feeling comfortable with it. It didn't feel foreign in my hand. And little by little, I started getting, the crochet hook started finding a comfortable space in my hand. Little by little, I started holding it the way that I ended up holding the crochet hook. And I don't think I hold it like everybody else does. I think I hold it a little bit different. But like I said, I'm not really into the technique right now on the way because some people hold it like this, and some people hold it like this, and some people hold it a different way. I hold my yarn in my hand. Okay, I hold my yarn like this. See if I can find the strand. Okay, I hold my yarn like this, like this, like this. I hold my yarn like this, and I crochet like this. Some people, I've seen that they hold their yarn the other way, which is their hand here and their hand here, and like this. And I crochet here, okay? I crochet here. Some people, they crochet on top of their finger. So they start doing the chains from up here. I do it from here because it's easier for me. That's how my hand naturally started doing it. Some people, they unroll it. They grab it. You see, sometimes it's not natural. So they grab it, and instead of moving the crochet hook to yarn over and get the loop through, they actually they move their hand to roll it to the hook. I don't know if I'm being clear. Let me see. Let me try to do a chain so you guys can know what I'm talking about. I know this video is long, but I just want to get used to being in front of the camera and talking to you guys. So, for example, I do this when I crochet. You see, I crochet right here. Okay, I yarn over and I crochet right here. And I start loosening it and I pull it. Okay, and I start yarning like that. Some people, and I've seen it, some people, they crochet up here. Okay, they go like this and they crochet like that, and they crochet on top. I can't do it because it doesn't feel natural in my hand, but yeah, they crochet up here, like very close to their finger. They crochet up here, so they pick up the yarn right there. And some people, okay, and you know how I yarn over it and I pick up my yarn and I pull through? Some people, okay, they keep their crochet hook still and they move their hand to yarn over and go through. So they move their hand and yarn over and let them go through. So they are yarning with one hand. They're using with, they keep this stationary and they're moving this hand. I move the hand with my hook because that feels natural. That's how I was comfortable with it. You know, that's how I started picking it up. So try different ways and see what feels natural to your hand. And that's a major key in crocheting. Whatever feels natural to your hand is the best way for you to crochet. And you will see that it all really comes down to tension and yarn size and needle size for the crochets to come the way that it's in a pattern. You know, because remember, everybody is gonna have different tension in that, and by tension I mean the way that you hold your yarn and the I guess for example, okay, the way you pull your yarn while you're crocheting. Okay, while you're crocheting, you pull your yarn a certain way. Okay. All right. Let's see if I can make it without a hook, because I just put it away. Okay. So, for example, this is my hand, and this is the tension that I put on the yarn. This. So when I started, this was my tension. I was very stiff because I was barely learning, and I was very stiff, and the stitches came out very tight and very. But now I relax my hand more. And this is the tension that I keep. You see how easy it is to pull it now because my hand has gotten used to it and my hand's not doing this anymore. I'm not pulling the yarn anymore. I'm actually holding the yarn and letting it sit naturally on my hand, and I'm just little by little, okay? I'm no longer doing this where it was really hard for me to pull. No, I'm crocheting looser. I'm letting it go through like that, and that's tension, okay? And the hook size also makes a difference, okay? For example, I used this to crochet a super bulky piece of yarn, which I used for this one. You see how bulky that is? I think this is a super bulky yarn. It's thicker than this one. It's thicker than the regular size 4 Super Saver. You see? I think it's also, okay. You see the difference? This is thinner and this is thicker. I think this is two strands of this make this strand. Okay? So, and I use this hook. Okay, this is a size 4 hook. This is a size 4 hook. And I use it for that big bulky yarn, and that's because I wanted for the stitches to be very tight, very close, and for it to have no light going through. Okay, where's my light? Okay, and this is how I know how my stitches are. Okay, you see, there's no light going through that. The way that it went through this. Because even if this is, look, you see how you can still see, and I'm holding the two thickness of the beanie together, and you still can see. That's because the stitch is very open. It's a double crochet, okay? And I did this so that it doesn't, there's slip stitches. I mean, there's single crochet stitches, and you see, there's no light going through because I want it to be very stiff, very stiff, very close together, the stitches. So that's why I used a smaller hook with a thicker piece of yarn, and you could crochet like that. I thought that you have to always use the crochet hook that is recommended with the yarn, but like they say, it's just a recommendation. You use it depending on your need. Don't use it just because it says on the paper that you have to use it. Use it depending on your needs. For example, the person that crocheted the skull used a different size of crochet hook. I use this one because I like the way that this sized for all my appliques. I like the way this number 4mm works. I like the way that it crochets, like the size and everything with my Super Saver yarn. And like, again, they recommend a 5.5, I believe, or let me see. I don't remember what they recommend for that Super Saver yarn. Let's see. Okay. They recommend a 5.5. They recommend the 5.5 millimeter or a eye hook, size 9 eye hook. Okay. This is what they recommend you to use for this type of yarn, which is this one right here. Okay. I personally don't go based on the size. Okay. Other people do. Certain patterns ask you for it, and you know, like I said, whatever works for you, whatever makes you feel comfortable, like I said, make it your own. I do it depending on what I'm crocheting and the look that I want. That's how I go, based on the hook that I use, and that depends whether I use a single strand or I use a double strand. Okay, I usually like I said, I don't like to waste a lot of money on the craft itself because it's very new to me. So I usually just buy what I need, you know, but usually I don't buy the super bulky ones unless they're in special or I got them for a really cheap price, because they are way pricier. So what I do when the pattern requires a thick piece of yarn, I usually either double strand it or triple strand it, depending on how I see that it compares to the thickness that the person in the video is using, or the person that took the picture in the blog, the material that it looks in it. So I usually do that. The only ones that I do buy in bulk are white and black, because I go through those colors like crazy. I'm also gonna post a picture of a baby cozy that I did with a panda hat, and then I did some goodies and some other items that I gave to my sister-in-law because she had her baby. But I go through these colors like crazy, so I do end up buying the big Super Saver, the jumbo size, because it's worth it. It's worth it for me because it's the colors that I use the most. And like I said, you can never go wrong with this, because even for baby items, it's soft, it doesn't lose its shape, and it's not an itchy type of yarn. You know, I have certain allergies, so there's certain type of yarns that I cannot use. Even when I go to the stores and those yarns are around me, I start getting very allergies. I start sneezing, my eyes start getting watery, and then I start getting very itchy. So this has worked perfect for me for several reasons. So I really like this brand. I do recommend it if you're barely starting out, or even if you're a pro. You know, when you're doing certain items, you know, that you are gonna be using a lot, that are gonna be being washed and loved and cared for and being out a lot. It's not items that you are, that you are gonna just, keep in your mantle or stuff like that, But you're gonna really use your items like hats and things like that. I really do recommend this brand. It's very sturdy, it's soft, it doesn't give me any allergies. I don't know if you have allergies to their material, but it's great. And their company, they put a lot of free patterns on their website, so that's another plus. Like, you can go to their website and check out the patterns, and they give you the pattern, and they give you the quantities of balls and the sizes of balls that you're gonna be needing, or the skeins, whatever you want to call them. And sometimes, like for example, the Crochet Crowd, I think they're sponsored by this brand. I'm not so sure, but I think they are, and they do videos. For example, I'm gonna try to do, like I told you, we're redecorating my daughter's room, and they have a pattern for a pillow that has flowers, and it looks like three-dimensional, because the petals are done, they're like in layers, in circles, and they're done separately, so when you put them all together they have this look of being three-dimensional. And I think I'm gonna use that pattern for some pillows that I'm gonna use for my daughter's covers and stuff. So yeah, they have the written pattern and they also have the video on it. So you can, when you use this brand, you get a lot of amenities with it. You know, you get the support of the crochet crowd, and then you get their free patterns, and you get their they give you an idea of how much yarn you're gonna use, because to be honest, I am very new at this and I do not know how to kind of calculate yet. So having that extra tool really helps, knowing exactly how pricey the project's gonna be, because when you can do that, when you're starting to crochet, you don't think about the price that the item's gonna cost. A lot of people have that misconception that crocheting something is gonna be cheaper than buying it, and in reality it's not. It's gonna be better quality when you make it. It's gonna look, you know, a certain way when you make it by hand, but in reality it's more expensive than buying it already made. And that's just the reality of things. So like I said, it can get really pricey if you don't pay attention on the amount of yarn that you're going to use for certain patterns. For example, I've been wanting to do an Afghan, but I've been holding off on it because I'm going to need certain amount of yarns and I just don't have the money right now for it. But it's going to end up costing me about $40 to make the Afghan, with all the yarns that I need and all the, you know, because it's a pretty big Afghan, and yeah, and it's gonna be a reversible one, so I'm gonna need two different colors of yarn. I think it's gonna be actually like 3 colors of yarn that I'm gonna use, and I'm gonna use a bunch of quantity of it. I'm gonna use about, I think it's about 3 to, I'm not sure, I don't remember, I have the pattern written down somewhere, but I'm gonna use a lot of skeins of yarn, so I have hold off on that because I don't have the money right now for it. But I've been wanting to try it out, and it's a reversible Afghan, and it's also posted in the Red Heart website, and I found another one that it's similar to it too at ravelty.com. You can sign up for free, and there's a lot of free patterns. Not all patterns are for sale. There's a lot of good people out there that put their patterns out for you to try, and I think how they get their money, it's by either being sponsored by the brand or by selling what they make. But they are very, you know, they're very nice and generous, and they, you know, they let you try their patterns. You know, I think that is, you know, good to do that, because sometimes you get people that, you know, that have different, I guess, economy levels where they can spend certain amount of money on crafts, and there's people that really can't spend that much money on crafts, and you still have to buy the yarn, and then you buy the pattern and all of that on top of it. It comes really pricey, but there is some good people out there that let you try their patterns for free, and you know, you just spend on the yarn, and it helps out a lot. You know, I thank everybody that does their patterns, and I respect everybody that does them and puts them out for free, and I also respect the people that sell and they make their living out of their patterns. I think that's a really cool way to make a living, and I respect you and everything. But again, I will not buy your patterns myself because I think that I can spend that money on the yarn. So yeah, well, that's just my personal opinion, right? But yeah, thank you to everybody though. Thank you to all the people that put in their time and their efforts, and yeah, I appreciate you all. It's just my personal preference. Okay, I don't think that if I ever come up with a pattern, I don't think I would ever sell it myself. I think knowledge should be free, and you know, there's certain things that I strongly believe in, and I know there's a lot of people that have really good you know, really good comebacks on it, and they really rationalize it, and they really, like, you know, discuss and are very avid about certain points. But that's just my personal opinion. I respect everybody's, and I think everybody should respect mine as well. But yeah, thank you all the YouTubers that put out free stuff for us to try. I really appreciate you. Thank you very much. You make crafting accessible to certain people, and I really appreciate that, and I respect you for that. So again, this is one of the brands that I do recommend when you're starting off, just because of that. And yeah, I bought all these yarns myself. I was never gifted any of the items. I am not associated with any of the brands, and that I've of hooks or of yarn. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not making any money off of it. It's just what I use and what has worked for me. So just so you guys can know that I'm not making any money off of this. I'm just, giving you my opinion and giving you this long crochet story. But yeah, thank you for listening. This is just to get rid of my nerves once I start doing the tutorials, so I can start kind of like getting used to being in front of the camera. And again, a shout out to Yolanda from the Elcraft channel. Thank you for teaching me how to crochet. Oh, and this other bag that I'm going to show you, this is my loom knitting bag. I usually, I haven't done loom knitting in about 6 months since I started to learn how to crochet. And the reason why I've stopped doing that, not because I didn't like it, I really enjoy the outcome of it. Like I said, I really love the way this beading is. It's very soft, and the stitches are very nice. You get very different stitches, and it's very warm. But it's very tedious. It's like you're going on a round for a lot of the patterns, and there's not that many people that do it, so there's not really that many patterns out there. And I have purchased a pattern book. I really don't like to do that. I like to get my patterns for free because, like I said, I don't know if I'm even gonna be able to do it, or I am even gonna like it. So I try to get as much free stuff to do the project as possible. And once I learn that I've liked it and I'm able to do it, I'll spend a little bit of more money on on either purchasing the thread, the yarn, or the materials that I'm using or whatever. But yeah, it got really pricey for me, and I didn't even notice. Like I bought the set, and it was $20, and it came, I think it was 4 of them. It was the Nifty Knitter loom set, and I really liked it. It's very durable. It just, the pegs don't come off or anything. But yeah, I spent $20 on that plus tax and all that stuff. And then I purchased the baby size loom, and that cost me $4 because I wanted to do certain items and I needed that size. And then when I wanted to make a scarf, I noticed that with that type of round loom, I couldn't do it. It kept on rolling on me because I don't know all the stitches, and it kept on rolling on me, and it just got really difficult. And I needed to purchase some other type of loom, like an extended one, to do scarves and elongated hats, and it just got very complicated. It started getting very pricey, and I got discouraged. I just said, whatever, I'm gonna try something else. And plus, like I said, there was no free patterns, and it was very difficult to learn to do the items with reading the patterns because I wasn't so familiar with the stitches. So it got really confusing, and it got to be a headache, so I stopped doing it. But yeah, these are the stitch holders that I purchased because when I was going on the round, I kind of lost them. I would lose my place, and I would have to unravel the whole thing and go back and do it, and it was really hard. But they ended up getting caught on my yarn, and they ended up destroying my work. So I just stopped using them completely. And they're very flimsy. They're very very opened. The material's very cheap, and I pay like $2-3 for it, and I thought they were gonna be really, really good, and they didn't. They weren't the quality that I thought I saw on the package. So in this item, I lost out. Okay, and these are my hooks for the loom knitting. I don't have the looms with me. I put them in storage. I think I'm gonna end up selling them online, or I'm gonna end up selling them on another site or whatever, because like I said, it's just kind of frustrating. I needed to have a row counter and a stitch counter, and and I tried doing these, but they were a little bit more inexpensive. I tried using these, but they get very hectic, and then I forget to add. So I wanted to get the ones that you press the button, but they were like $10, and I was like, I'm not gonna spend $10 on a counter just so that I can keep track of my stitches. I tried doing it with a paper and pen or paper and pencil, but then it was just too much work. I don't know. I just got too much work. Maybe later on, when I start seeing that there's more patterns out there and there's more videos, because I guess I'm a visual learner. I learn better by seeing other people do it. So when I see that it's, there's more people doing it or teaching us or whatever, I'll see if I pick it up again. But my goal is to sell that stuff and get rid of it and focus more on crocheting. I really enjoy it, and you get really good results, and it's not as hectic. And also when you take it on the go, you don't have to carry those round, like they're big. They're almost the size of a plate. So when you're carrying them around and you have your work on there and stuff like that, it gets very hectic to be carrying it around and unpacking it and packing it. It's just a mess. And I like to have different projects at the same time, so that if I get bored, I pick up another project. And with that, I couldn't do that because I was already using the round, and it got really messy. It wasn't for me. So this is a what is it called? A knitter's computer. Okay, we need this computer, and this is to get gauges and to make patterns and blah blah blah. And to be honest, I do not know how to use it. And with knitting, again, you really do have to learn how to gauge, because it's very important. With crocheting, not as much, but with knitting, yeah, you have to. I've done certain loom knitting projects where it was just a mess. I didn't know how to gauge properly, and it was just a whole mess. But with the crochet, even if I miss a stitch, or if I'm not as good in my stitches as the person that's doing it, it's still alright. It doesn't really make, it's not such a big deal. And if you mess up in one stitch or 3 or 4, you can always unravel and find your place and go back to it. When you do the knitting, even the loom knitting, you mess up and you have to take the whole round out so you can come back and count, because if not, it's gonna be completely off what you're making. But yeah, I really don't know how to use it. So I used to eyeball it, and you're supposed to put your, make your swatch, your stitches, and then put it here, and it tells you how many inches per stitch you have and stuff like that. I was never good at it. So yeah, and this is the reason why I have this bag that is waterproof, because I had it in a different bag that was cloth, and I was I was crocheting, and I dropped a bottle on it, and I didn't notice until the floor started having a puddle. So a lot of my stuff got ruined, like they got rusted, and it wasn't pretty. I had to use CLR to clean my hooks, and I had to, really clean it and stuff like that. So that's why I learned my lesson, and I use these little plastic waterproof bags, or this kind of waterproof double zipper bag, because that happened to me. And that's another reason why I use this to protect my needle, because I am very clumsy, and sometimes when I'm watching TV, I leave my stuff on the floor or whatever, and my daughter comes running and she'll step on it or whatever, and these don't really, nothing happens to them. But with these type of materials, it would break if she stepped on it, because it's hollow, the inside is hollow. And also that's one of the reasons why I wanted to purchase the larger hooks that were metal as well, because I would think that if she would step on it, she would break it. So yeah. And then I think after crocheting so much, they get little nicks and stuff. And seriously, these aluminum ones, I love. I mean, there's bamboo ones out there, there's plastic ones that look really pretty out there. But if I were to recommend you, if you're starting off and you want to buy something that is inexpensive, but it works well and it's going to be durable, because once you start crocheting, you become accustomed to your hooks. Like when you paint, you become accustomed to your brushes, or when you do nails, like I do nails as well, and you become accustomed to the work with the brushes that you have. You know, you wanna be able to, if you know, if you're comfortable with that hook, to be able to keep it for many years. You know, for not break to not break the bank and be able to keep it for many years, and you know, and use it. You know, there's some that have like handles, and somebody had gifted me one. I don't remember what brand it was, but they had gifted me one, and I was crocheting and I stayed with the handle in my hand, and the half of the crochet hook stayed on the crochet on the crochet on the hand that I was holding my yarn in the crochet project with. So yeah, I to be honest, I don't think I'll ever spend money on those crochet hooks that have the handle on them. I had a bad experience with one of them, and I don't know. Somebody would have to give me a set for me to try it out again. But for my pocket, I will not spend money on them. I just like these. I like the fact that they're smooth, and you know, they work well. And if I drop them, nothing happens to it because I'm clumsy. If I step on them, nothing happens to it. If I crochet very tight, they don't bend. If I chose to crochet with a different type of material, for example, with the bags, they can get very heavy and very hard to crochet with. And with these crochets, they don't bend. They do the work, and they don't bend. They don't warp or anything. For example, this one, like I told you, I don't like stuff that have the handles, because this one, I don't know if you can see, but it kind of, because of the tension that you're picking up and stuff, it got bent. It got really bent, and it's, you know, it lost its shape. It lost its shape, and I used a little pencil gripper on this, but it lost its shape. So yeah, I don't like stuff that has handles on them like that, that it's not a full piece. Maybe if they came up with one that it's like the, not just the top of it, it's the whole piece together, and they just have a handle on it, maybe. Because even if the handle were to break or whatever, you still have the whole crochet hook to work with. But yeah, these little counter things, you know, for some people they work, but for me they didn't work. To be honest, I don't use them anymore for the fact that I forget to turn the little knob. I'm saving up for the little counter, but I'm not holding my breath on it. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. And I also use these to hold my stitches. They are cable. There are, I believe they're stitch holder cable needles. I don't know what you want to call them. They're dual purpose. They hold stitches, or they you can use them to do cables. I haven't learned how to do that, so I haven't used them yet. But I have used them to hold stitches, and to help me count the stitches, like the stitches, to help me count them. So I use these. I have a couple of them in different sizes, and they're pretty neat, because you do it, you put it on, and the it doesn't fall as easy. I wouldn't use it to grab it and put it in my bag and let go of my, and to move my project around, because they do fall in movement. But most of them stay pretty much together, but I still wouldn't trust this. I would use these. I usually use these when I'm sitting down and I put my work down for maybe like a couple minutes or an hour or whatever. If I'm gonna go on the road, I would put my trusty safety pin on, because it closes and it doesn't mess up my yarn or anything. So I put it in here and I close it, and you're done. Your stitch is locked. And you don't spend as much money as a regular locking stitch holder would cost you. So that's it. So yeah. So yeah. Okay. Well, again, talking about on-the-go projects. Okay, I use these bags. I know. I use these bags to take my projects on the go. I usually keep the balls or yarns I'm using, and I keep my pattern, my written pattern in here, and I usually label them. And since I reuse these bags, I don't write on them. What I use is a little clip and the little flashcard, and I write what I'm doing. So because I lay these out, I have like on my dresser, I have these small little bags. I have several of them. You see, I have this other one here that I have, and this is a different pattern or a different project that I'm doing, and I keep these little cards, and I keep them so I can know what's inside, and when I'm on the go, and depending on the kind of trip that I'm gonna make, I'll grab the bag. And they don't cost anything, they're free. When I purchase certain items, I get them at the stores, either clothing stores or regular stores or electronic stores. There's a lot of stores that carry still these kind of cardboard bags, and they're practical. Like I said, I like to recycle. I really don't like to spend money on certain things that I already have at home and that I can use. And again, I'm using the Red Heart Super Saver. I try to use that. I really love that particular yarn. So yeah, this is what I'm making right now, and I haven't recorded anything. I think I'm gonna make a quick video in between the project, because I already started and I don't want to undo it and redo it, because this is my washing machine. For some reason damaged this camisole. It ripped some of the little strap, and it's very good. It's still good. It's I'm not gonna say it's brand new, but it doesn't have even a month since I bought it. It's an undershirt that she uses under her shirts, and right now that it was hot, and I mean, I don't want to throw it away. It's still good. It's just the strap that fell. And yes, I could have done little straps for it, but I kind of wanted to try this. I kind of wanted to try and redo it and see how it worked out. So I'm doing a fan stitch on the back that's gonna be tapered up, like kind of like a T, and then this is gonna hook into it. So this is how kind of like how it's gonna look. It's gonna be tapered, and it's gonna be held with 3 stitches there, or 2 stitches, and this is what it's gonna be. It's like a raised back shirt. And this particular neck holder or neck headband, or I'm sorry, neck band, or whatever you want to call it, I got this stitch from a headband. Actually, I did it for my daughter. It's when I was at my aunt's house. She was doing this for a baptism. She was gonna be a godmother for this girl, little girl, and she was doing this headband for the girl that was gonna have the little baptism or the christening. I don't know what you want to call it. And she did this headband, and she wove in an accent color of lace in here, or what was it, lace or ribbon, and it looked really pretty. I did it for my daughter, but we tried it on her and it kept on falling off, so I didn't use it, and I didn't want to unwind it, so I was gonna look for a different use of it. So next time, I think when I do it, I'm gonna secure it with one of those headband elastics. I'll sew it in, see if that works better. But yeah, I'm using it to make that shirt. Okay, so this is what I use to hold my projects together. And then you can use a calculator. You can use a calculator when you are doing patterns. It's good to have it, because then you know how many stitches you start adding up stitches and stuff to kind of like figure out a pattern, or how it's gonna, what starting chain you're gonna use. For example, when I was doing that fast stitch, I'm learning it from A Stitch a Day, from that YouTube channel, A Stitch a Day, and it tells you to use multiples of a certain number to start off your chain, and then you add 1 for the turning chain. So sometimes I'm really bad or lazy at math, and I use my calculator, my trusty calculator, to make those calculations. So I use this one when I'm on the go, or I use this one when I'm at home. And I usually try to have, these were free, so they're a little bit better quality, but usually you can buy them at the 99-cent store, and sometimes they come a packet of 2 or 3, and you can just keep it in your, since these are too big to keep in here. I think this one might fit, but to be honest, I don't want to put too much stress on this bag, so I don't use it all the time. It depends on the pattern, like I said. So since I don't use it all the time, I don't like to keep it in my bag. I just keep it in hand. I keep it where I keep all my balls of yarn and stuff. Sometimes I'll just even put it in here in one of those containers so I can know it's in there. You see, now you can see the item inside. That's why I like these containers, especially the perforated ones, because when I like to Febreze my yarns, so they don't get the smell of being enclosed in a container, or the smell of old or unused. They get a certain smell. So I'm very sensitive to smell, so I don't like, so I Febreze them ever so often, even if they're brand new. So this is what I've used to keep my patterns when I write them out, or when I print them out, when I need to see them in written form. Because sometimes I can see that I watch the video and then I write them out, and I keep them when I'm not watching the video. For example, I am very bad with the abbreviations. I get very confused. For some reason, I see the abbreviations and my brain starts thinking math. Like if I'm solving an algebra equation or something like that, and I get so frustrated, and it just makes me not want to do the pattern, and it just gives me a headache. So what I do is I write it down completely. For example, if the pattern says 1/2 double crochet, I write 1/2 double crochet. I don't use 1 and then the 1/2 and then DC. I don't use that. I get confused. So it feels like doing math. So, or when it starts doing 2 stitches together to I guess make 2 stitches one, that's like craziness to me. I start thinking about math and all that, and I just write it down so it's clear to me. So yeah, I keep this in hand as well. And nevertheless, my trusty tablet that I use. I have a free e-reader in here downloaded, and I have like a bunch of electronic books that I have acquired from different places, and different people have given me electronic books. Or sometimes, for example, Amazon sometimes has free pattern books. They're like samples, or they are pattern books that have maybe 1 project or 2 projects, and they're free. So I end up always looking on Amazon or other free book places, and they give you crochet like patterns or samples, and I keep them all in here. And it's Wi-Fi ready, so when I'm gonna use it, and I'm using it from a YouTube channel that I'm doing my project, I usually use that. I either power it when I'm on the go, I power it with my cell phone. I use the hotspot on it, and I get my internet that way. Or when I'm at home, now that I have internet, I will probably sign in and use it in my home. That way I don't have so many papers out. I can use this as one of my tools that I use to crochet. It's one of my favorite tools, and it's one of my most handy tools, because like I said, I'm a visual learner, so I rather watch the video and follow along with somebody crocheting. It's only in special occasions that I write out the patterns, just because I'm not gonna be close to a place that I have my phone with, or I'm gonna be watching TV and I'm gonna be competing with that, or I don't want to use my headphones or whatever. So I'll just, in special occasions, I will write down my pattern, or when I do like combinations of patterns, that's when I use my paper. I write down, okay, this is how you do this part of the pattern, and I took this other part of the pattern from the other place, and I'm gonna combine them. That's how I do it. But I usually use this, and I have a bunch of books downloaded in here. Yeah, so, and this is not a name brand one either. It's, I don't know if I can show the brand, let me see, but it's a cheapy one. It's not that expensive. It's not an iPad, it's not a Galaxy tablet, it's not, I don't even know if anybody knows the brand, but it came out really good. And since for the purpose that I needed, it doesn't need to be super expensive. So yeah, so make crochet your own and do certain things your way. There's really not a specific way of doing things, and I think that once you get into that set of mind that you don't have to necessarily follow what people say or how somebody's doing it, and you try it in your own way, it makes it better. It kind of makes it fun, because if it's not fun, it becomes work, and you don't want to work while you're trying to do something. You want to have fun, you want to relax, you want to use it as like an outlet of your stress. So yeah, so that's the only thing that I have to say about that. And yeah, keep watching. We'll have a tutorial on that headband, and I will post some pictures, and I'm gonna put in the description boxes all the YouTube channels that I got my patterns from, and the blogs that I got the patterns from the projects that I showed you before, and that I kind of chopped or Frankensteined the pattern from. And yeah, so just keep on looking, and I'll show you how to do it next.